Yao people, anyhow people everywhere. Anyways, if you are still doubting that they don't want to Islamize this country, then you are on your own. You understand? To me, these people are the same people they are going to use as tools coming 2027 election. If you are still doubting that Islamics are not coming for you in this country, then they should check your brain. Anyways, I have a little video to show you so you can watch and learn from people who understand what is going on in this country. Watch video.
The situation of Nigeria has persisted this long is because we have not been asking the right questions. And until we begin to ask the right question before we begin to get the right direction. And when we begin to get the right direction, we can get the right result. This is not because I like to talk anyhow, or I just want to talk, but it has become a consistent act in this nation that evil will be prevailing, but righteous men will be quiet. Plateau State has recorded several terror attacks, riots and killings and invasion and all that. But there has no anyone that has been as terrible as that of 2010. The most terrifying and horrific ones is the one for 2010. Between January and March 2010, there was a riot. That was one of the most bloody riots that have happened on Plateau State. The record for that riot says between January and March of that year, that over 1,000 persons were killed. But you know that if the media tell you 1,000, know that it is not 1,000. Because media they don't report the actual number of casualties. They always find a way to reduce this to avoid, causing too much panic. So if the media tell you 1,000, divide that 1,000 by 2 and add that extra 500 on top of it. About 1,500 persons were killed. But that is not the point. After that riot in 2010, the Hausa Muslim community in Jos, Plateau State, please follow me this morning. After that riot, the Hausa Muslim Fulani community in Jos wrote a letter to Sultan of Sokoto exactly on the 17th of July 2010. And what is the context of this letter? The context of this letter is because after the riot, there became a little rift, a little misunderstanding between the Hausa Muslim community and the Fulani Muslim community. Why? Because in the past, every attack that they have done in the past, they used to do it together. And they are causing problem in the city of Jos. The Hausa's community and the Fulani community, they unite to cause such terror on Plateau State. But for the one of 2010, the Hausa community did not carry the Fulani community along. Pay attention this morning. I'm speaking to the world. And I wanted to bear record. But the Hausa community did not carry the Fulani community along. Because normally, if the Fulani were to cause chaos, they will inform the Hausa that they see today we are causing chaos today. Tell your people not to go out. And if it is the Hausa that are causing chaos, they will inform the Fulanis. Or they do it together. But that year, they did not inform the Fulanis. So therefore, some Fulanis went out that day with their cows and all that. And when the Hausa started the problem, in fact, it is stated on record that JNI, Jamaatul Nasrul Islam, provided them with the weapon that they used. They supplied them with the weapon. And despite supplying them with the sufficient weapon, they did not carry the Fulani Muslim community along. So they made the attack on their own. And so in the process of the riot and the killing, some Fulanis were caught on fire because they were not told before that time. And because of that, some of them were killed. Some of them, their cows were killed. And because of that, the Fulanis, after that riot, the Fulanis said, we don't want to do anything with you again. Fulani said, we will remain on our own. Let the Hausa community to remain on their own because the catastrophe of that riot affected them very much. And so the Hausa community tried to settle the quarrel. They tried to settle that misunderstanding. They tried to plead with the Fulani Muslim community. But the Fulani community were not accepting. So because they refused to accept, the Hausa community, led by the Hausa Elders Forum in Jos, the Hausa Elder Forum in Jos, on the 17th of July 2010, wrote a letter to Sultan of Sokoto. And they said that the Sultan should please help them to talk to the Fulanis so that they can unite the way they have been uniting in the past. Because this is the time they need to remain together as one, as Muslims. And they addressed him because they said he is the Sultan of Sokoto and also Seriki Musulumai, and he should come and address the issue for them. And they mentioned that the Sultan should also remind the Fulanis that in the past, the Fulanis have caused chaos in Jos that has also affected them too, the Hausas. And that the Fulanis are also still planning more chaos in places like Jos North local government, Shao, Bisichi, Indigi, Kasa, Kamang, and all Barki local government, Shen, Dan, Vom in Jos South, Wa, Ring, John in Riyom local government. All these are settlements that the Fulanis were planning to rescue. So they were telling the Sultan that this thing that the Fulanis are planning to do, it will affect them to the Hausa. So therefore the Sultan should please come and mitigate and talk to them. So that the Fulanis will not go ahead and, cause this chaos that will also affect them. The letter was written by one Nasiru Yahya for the chairman of the Hausa Elders Forum. But you see, that was not all. After that letter was written, I wouldn't know if the Sultan of Sokoto did anything reasonable about the case. But after that time, between July and December of that year, there were over 1,000 killings, but it was not at a riot. So what were they doing? Exactly what the Hausa community have said the Fulanis were going to do, exactly what happened. What will they do? They'll go to a village, burn the village, kill the people and move. They'll go to another settlement, shoot people, kill people, burn the village and move. Some they'll take over the territory, some they'll burn and move. And between that time, they caused over 1,000 killings, the Fulanis. And by December, Christmas Eve, December 2010, Boko Haram launched 4 bombs.
And this is what is still going on till now. It's still going on till now. Nigerians, wake up. Wake up. I keep saying this, wake up.
2010, Boko Haram launched 4 bombs in Jos that took the life of many. And because of that, it led to several other killings, silent killings, within communities of the Christian-dominated, where the Fulanis targeted Christian-dominated, especially the Biron people. They targeted the Biron people, all the communities in Jos South, all the communities in Barikin Ladi, all the communities in Riyom local government were targeted and killed and massacred. Now, this then means, if they can write a letter to Sultan of Sokoto, as the Sarki Muslim, it then means that the Sultan is aware of everything the Muslim community does, either before, during, or after. If they can tell him of the chaos they are causing themselves, that both of them are causing on Jos, and they are asking Sultan to come and mitigate between both of them, stating that Jama'atu Nasiru Islam supplied them with the weapon in that 2010, it then means that Sultan knows a lot. Because if they can tell him of that, it then means that Sultan is aware of most of the chaos, either before, or during, or after. What am I saying this morning? During the week, a church in Kwara State, a CAC church, a Ruku in Kwara State, the people were worshiping on a Tuesday, I believe, and they were attacked. And children were running, people were running, and they were shooting sporadically. The Fulanis, the bandits, they were shooting. But what took my mind most, that I've not been able to come over, is a very, very old woman. How many of you saw that video? There was this old woman. Every time I remember that thing has refused to leave my mind. An old woman. Look how she bent. And she was trying to run for safety. What is the offense of that woman? What crime has she committed? She's not asking for government money. She's not asking for your oil. She's not asking for resources. She just wants to live the remainder of her days serving God. And you came and terrorized her inside the church. Every time I remember that thing, it has caused me so much heartache. I am traumatized on behalf of that mama. Because I begin to wonder, what if it's my mother? Therefore, I'm sending a message to Sultan of Sokoto today. I'm sending a message to him. If they can write this letter to inform me of the atrocity in 2010, it means there is a lot to know about the killing. And let me tell you this morning, that jihadi mandate that was brought in by Usman Danfodio, that you people are trying to Islamize Nigeria, it will never work. Nigeria will never be Islamized. I'm saying it again. Nigeria will never be Islamized. Sultan, warn your boys. Call your foot soldiers. Call them back home. Because you see, the Hausa Fulani communities in Nigeria, they obey the Sultan much more than the president. When the Sultan give order, they yield to the Sultan more than the president. And there's no way the Sultan will not say he doesn't have an understanding or know most of this thing. The people that are perpetrating this evil. I'm not accusing him of anything, but I'm not also saying he's innocent. We cannot continue like this. Every time I remember that thing, even till last night, I remember I watched that thing and I said, oh God, this mama, what is our offense? Children crying here and there. Children being kidnapped from school. Soldiers being killed. If you have an agenda, Sultan, to continue with the mandate of your ancestor, Usman Danfodio, to want to bring jihad onto Nigeria, to bring Islamization, just like they did in Lebanon. Lebanon that was once a Christian nation. Just like you did in Turkey. Turkey that was once a Christian nation. Now they are all fully Islamic. If that is what you are planning in Nigeria, to overwhelm Nigeria with so much chaos, so that when we are Islamic, we can accept Islam, it will never happen. So call your boys. I'm not accusing you of anything yet. But I'm not saying you are innocent of their activities. They are Fulanis. They are your people. They will listen to you. They listen to your orders much than they listen to the president of Nigeria. Call your boys back home. Have an understanding today. I repeat, Nigeria will never be Islamized. No matter what you do, jihad will never succeed. We will abolish Sharia in this nation. This is a secular state, not an Islamic state. I don't know what the fathers of faith, the Christian leaders in Nigeria did in the early 2000s, that they allowed them to implement Sharia in 12 northern states in Nigeria, and they kept quiet. The days of those silence is over. We will not be silent. Call your boys to order. In the bushes where they are. And that man Gumi, the spokesman for the terrorists in this nation, the terrorist sportsman, the ISLAMIcs sportsman, the bandit sportsman, call him to action too, because he's under you to Sultan. He's the chief imam of Central Mosque in Kaduna. Call him to order. You are the Sulu Sariki Muslim. Call Gumi to order. All those nonsensical negotiations with terrorists must be stopped. If you want to have your jihad, Nigeria would rather divide than be Islamized. We would rather break the way than be Islamized. It will never happen. Go and practice your jihad and Sharia. Create another nation for yourself in Arewa. But we will never be Islamized. Sultan, call your boys to action. Nigeria will never be Islamized. Get this message. Nigeria, all those activities, all those plans of jihad, I have an understanding of everything. All those plans of jihad, it will never work. To overwhelm the nation with so much chaos here and there. So while they are thinking of how to settle with this kidnapping case, there's another kidnapping case there. Then there's another killing there. So that to make the conflict to be chaotic, to make the country to be in disarray, it will never work. If they can write you this letter addressing you and the chaos between the Hausa Fulanis in 2010, then there is a lot to know. I'm not accusing, like I said, but you're not innocent either. And just like you said sometimes back, allegedly, that anybody that killed Boko Haram is fighting Allah. Allegedly. All your plans will not work. Nigeria will not be Islamized. Call your boys back home. Talk sense to them. Call them back. I don't know those that are sponsoring you, those that are influencing you with all those things, but have an understanding that will never work here in Nigeria. This is not Lebanon. This is not Turkey. This is Nigeria. And it will not work.
Nigeria will never be Islamized. It will never work.
We can give a child.
See, everything goes scatter.
Every child deserves
You cannot Islamize us. No.
environment.
It will never work.
That's why we took up the responsibility of renovating school.